There we go. All right, welcome to week 4. Can you believe it? We are halfway through this program. Maybe to you guys, it has felt like, oh my gosh, this is never ending, but I'm hoping that it's feeling like it's going fast because I really want you to not feel like it's dragging on forever, but that you're getting enough information at a good pace so that you can kind of be able to get the big picture in your mind and see what's possible without feeling discouraged. And I know this is the stage, inevitably, and this is going to be across the board. There's probably not a single person out there that's not going to be able to relate to some degree to what I'm saying. But across the board, I am pretty sure that many of you are feeling that squeeze of the middle, you're feeling overloaded. At first, we started the program, everyone was excited. We did week 1, people were gung-ho, they were sharing, they were, feeling like, all right, I can do this. But as we add more things and more things, it's harder and harder to stay focused on the process. You start judging yourself. I know we're doing a lot of, I have been advising you, and I hope that we all are doing it, but I've been advising you to be very aggressive and proactive about your self-care, your self-compassion, your mindset practices, all that kind of stuff, because that is going to be the thing that sabotages you and makes you stop. This is the halfway point when people are like, I'm too behind, I'm going to give up. I want to start this week out by telling you, please, please, please do not feel like there's something wrong with you. I am feeding you stuff, information and tips and tools and habits I want you to choose and things I want you to do at a very rapid pace. Okay, maybe some of you doesn't feel like it's rapid, but it is, because you're getting information. Then you have to implement them, and we're not really giving you a ton of time to problem solve. I want you to keep focused on the process and, as always, those 1% improvements, because if I were doing this with you one-on-one, I would be taking 12 weeks to go through this, and we would be problem solving and even skipping weeks. I would be doing it over 12 individual meetings and sessions with you, and I would be giving you time to evaluate when you wanted the next one to happen so that you could have enough time. Does that make sense? Like, I know this takes time. In order to do this in a group program where I just give you all the information, we support each other for a short amount of time, and you really feel like it's a manageable amount of time to commit, that's why I picked the 8 weeks. So I recognize that this is fast. I recognize that you're not having a lot of time to problem solve and really put things into implementation. And that's okay. That does not mean the knowledge will not be there and ready for you when you hit that step. That's really what I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on showing up, being part of the Facebook group, checking in with your accountability partner, no matter what week you're on, okay? And I know I said this last week, but I'm going to really reiterate this over and over and over this the next couple weeks, because this is that middle point in the whole process that everyone starts to slow down. Everyone starts to let those gremlins start to take hold. Everyone starts to feel overwhelmed and like it's too much, and you can't quite remember why you were even committed to doing this in the first place. And I actually I have this little hourglass here to give you a little bit of a visual on this, because this is what this feels like to me. This, where you see the little grains here, is where you've been, what you want to change, and up here is where you want to be. And in the middle, you've got this little teeny tiny space that you've got to move through. I think of this hourglass imagery as the simplicity on the other side of complexity. Okay, I know that kind of sounds funny, but it's simple things that you have to implement to get to the other side of, you know, all the systems set up, all the changes you're making, all the things you're having to be aware of. It all feels complex. It feels like a lot. But as you take it just little pieces at a time, you get to the other side, and life is so much simpler. And you just have to be patient and let it all get through that little teeny middle part, and that's where we're at. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start screen sharing. Yeah. Okay, Christy, I'm glad you finally made it to a live session. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. So let's see if I can make this just a titch smaller. Whoops, it's not doing it. Well, dang it. I was hoping that I could make it a little smaller. When we were doing our test, it did, and now it's not working. Oh, there we go. Hang on. There you go. Okay, that's what I wanted it to look like. Okay, and that way my little image of where you can see me talking doesn't cover up any of our words. So anyway, okay, so we're going to dive right into week 4, and this is week 4 is gaining the support of your family. It's beginning to enroll your family members and kind of getting them on board. And like I said, I know that a lot of you might be feeling like, I'm not even ready to start involving my family. I'm not doing this all right yet. I'm not doing my daily dues perfect or anything. Remember, anytime you are leading the herd, leading the bunch, you only have to be one baby step ahead in order to be a lead. You do not have to be at the end, at the finish line, at the end, and be a perfect example in order to lead your family and enroll them. You can be, remember our intention. In fact, I'm going to scroll up here. Remember our, oh, I don't have last week's. Remember our intention, our first couple weeks intention, that you're safe, your family is safe to go through struggles and share each other's struggles and strengths. It's in our first couple weeks of part of our intention. That's what modeling the actual journey is going to give your family. So do not feel like you have to be on top of everything, have everything, all the check marks, check boxes checked. You can move on to different steps and still continue that ripple. Remember, it's all still included. So this week, we have the same intention that we're still focusing on the same intention that we were focusing on last week. And I have all of the recap of the guiding principles from the last 3 weeks. And we're going to start this week on the guiding principle of good habits equals easy consequences. All right, and I love this quote. Good habits are hard to form, but easy to live with, while bad habits are easy to form, but hard to live with. And this is what I want you to stay focused on to help you get through this little part in our this visual of an hourglass. Okay, this is I know it's difficult and I know it's hard to keep feeling motivated to stay moving forward. The 2 things I want you to do that I really will help your motivation is don't hide from your accountability partner if you feel like you're behind. If you feel like even if you talk to your accountability partner and all you have to say is, you know, I haven't done a single step since we talked last, but this is what I'm going to do today. Just check in, send each other a text every single day that says, this is what I did or didn't do yesterday. It's not a judgment. It gives you an opportunity to reflect and gauge where you're at, and then decide what step you want to do next. In fact, every day I would be asking yourself, what are the 2 things that you can do that'll just move the needle? You can do one thing, but say two. I think whether it's making sure you do your mindset practice that day, or maybe it's checking in, spending 15 minutes replying on the Facebook group and going ahead and putting yourself out there for that, and then doing one step on the checklist. Just decide 1 to 2 things that will just move the needle. Just choose every single day and report that to your accountability partner. Doesn't have to be a big long thing. It could be a simple quick text. You can send them a Facebook message, however you want to do it, but don't hide from your accountability partner, especially in these middle weeks when this is the squeeze. This is when it's hard to stay motivated and hard to start seeing the results, because this is when we're doing all of the things that are where we've got the boost time over with, and we're kind of putting all of the things into process, but we are not really seeing big results yet. So I'm telling you, that's the first thing I want you to do. Don't hide from your accountability partner. Step up at your game when it comes to checking in with them. Okay, they're not there to judge you. They're there to be supportive, and they are there to give you the opportunity to evaluate yourself. They are not evaluating you. You are evaluating yourself. And the second thing is, I want you to get back onto the Facebook group. Like I said, this Facebook group is not a promotion. This is not something I'm telling you to go on there, to boost my views on Facebook. This is specifically, the Facebook group is specifically designed to be a community of support, to show each other that we are all at different levels and we are all making progress. And the more you go in there, I'm not talking about waste time on Facebook. I'm talking about go directly to the group, see what's posted each day, and reply to that post. Or if you have a question, go in and post and ask the question. Or there's I try to anticipate the types of questions that you might be having. And so I weekly put posts in there that often either address a question or give you a place to put the questions. So just, set yourself an alarm for 10 minutes, 5 minutes even. It doesn't even, usually it's only one post a day, so it doesn't have to be that much. But this is the reason this is so vital. This is one of the things I want you to do right now to keep your motivation up, is because recognizing, it's that empathy, it's that having a place of belonging and knowing that you're not alone will help you fight the things that get in your way of making progress. It'll help you fight the gremlins. It'll help you move forward and stay focused and give you just that little boost. Okay. And going back to this good habits versus bad habits on the module, if you focus on the process of establishing these good habits, I know it's difficult right now because it's uncomfortable, it's different, it's hard, but the other side of it, this where you want to go, that is going to be so much easier. It's going to be so easy to live with families that work together. It's going to be so much easier when you don't have to worry about eliciting help from your kids, or feeling like you're neglecting your family because you've got so much on your plate, you're not even focusing on relationships, or you feel like the only time you ever have time to interact with your kids is when you're barking at them to do something. All these things, all of that is so much harder to live with. And remember, that is, if you're having a hard time remembering what you felt was hard that motivated you to get in on this, go back and read from the very first week, one of your to-dos was to read where you were, what you were frustrated with, why you even wanted to commit. Go back and read that, and then read your vision, or listen to your vision if you've recorded it, or record your vision and listen to where you want to go so that you can push through this middle part, okay? Because the other side, the simplicity on the other side of complexity is so worth the battle. Giving up now and taking the easy out now by not sticking with it, not reevaluating, is going to have much more difficult consequences at the end. So this is why this is a guiding principle for us this week. All right. And then I also want to point out the other guiding principle we have this week is self-confidence equals more consistent progress. And let me tell you how this happens. So if you're feeling like you just don't believe in yourself, you don't believe that you can make this change, I hear a lot of gremlins out there about that you guys are recognizing that you have a lot of gremlins and labels about your self-confidence. You're not feeling confident that you're really going to be able to make change, or that you're going to be able to stick to it, or, you know, that you're going to be able to see change or results that you've never had before. All these different things. We've been trying to combat this stuff. But there's another thing that's not a mindset practice that combats this and helps you build self-confidence. And it is, if you're needing self-confidence, what you need to focus on is routines. That's why it's our definition for this week. Routines, when you focus on a routine, it builds self-discipline. And when you feel more disciplined, like you're actually seeing yourself be consistent, you become more self-confident. You start to trust yourself that you can count on what you're doing. And that is a natural, routines lead to self-discipline, and self-discipline leads to better self-confidence. And when you have more self-confidence, it's easier for you to make progress because you believe that you can actually do it. So if you are, I know that's really kind of a big concept in a little nutshell, but the things that I'm teaching you about, you know, just doing your daily dues and just simple routines that you think, I'm an adult, you don't need to tell me this, you know, like you might be thinking, this is not that big of a deal, this can't have that big of an impact. I know I'm constantly telling you this and reminding you of this, but the things I'm teaching you how to do are not just fluff. I picked the things to put in this program, and the things that I have thought very deeply and long and hard about what the important elements are, so that you can duplicate the kind of results that I know you can have. And these little pieces that I'm telling you, they really do add up, and they really are simple little pieces that have huge impact and have just really significant results. And this routines equals self-confidence, which equals more consistent progress, totally is one of those. Routines, these routines of what you do each day, what you are aiming to do each day, is one of those things that will help build your self-confidence, which will result in you making progress tons easier. It won't be such a struggle because you won't be fighting so hard all the gremlins. You will start to have evidence. You build evidence. That's what it is. Routines build evidence of self-discipline, and when you're self-disciplined, you believe that you can actually do things. And that belief is what self-confidence is. And the other thing I want you to mention at this point too is routines are not only valid if they're done perfectly. Okay? You've got to, I want you to focus on routines, but I still want you to focus on the 1% improvements. You know, I'm sitting here before you telling you that I've had fabulous results. I've gone through a journey through my life and through my motherhood and adulthood and being a home manager and all these different things. And absolutely is 100% true, but I guarantee you my day does not look perfect or the same every single day. There are parts of my routine that are so routine at this point that they maybe 1 in 30 days they don't happen. But there are other parts of my routine that I'm constantly evaluating and changing. And I might have a perfect day, maybe 1 in 10. That's like 3 days a month, you know, to have an absolute perfect day where I think, oh, this was just fabulous. There was nothing that got in my way. There was no distractions, you know. And I'm telling you that not for you to be like, oh, you know, she's not, why are we even listening to her? I'm telling you, you can have results, huge, significant, fabulous, wonderful, I wouldn't trade it for the world kind of results. And even when you are that flawed. Does that make sense? So give yourself that 1 in 10 perfect day kind of expectation. And if it's more often, high five. But I want you to just focus on the routines and get yourself through this middle stage. And good news, next week is week number 5, but then week number 6 is a kind of a catch-up week. It is a week where we don't have a new mentoring session. We don't have a new module. It is going to be where you have time to implement and kind of work through the things that we're going to talk about next week and get ready for the full-on offering chore tickets to your family. So it's great. You're gonna have a week off the first part of May when there's not a ton going on when it comes to school. Kids are back in school. There's no breaks. Holidays are over. You're on the home stretch to the end of the school year, and it's perfect time to really dive in and get caught up on all the things that you might feel like you're behind on. So just keep that as a little bright spot in the focus, and let's get going on what you're going to implement this week. So mindset practices, we have been, your mindset practice this week, we've been focusing tons on you trying to figure out how you feel about yourself. And even like I told you, we just talked about the self-confidence, all that kind of stuff. But as you are starting to enroll your family this week, you might start having gremlins that come up about other people in your family. Okay, you might be starting to think, oh my gosh, okay, so I'm going to be talking about and kind of introducing a new system to my family, and I'm really kind of nervous because my husband, blah, 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 or my teenagers, or this is how they're going to react, blah, 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 whatever it is, okay? These are gremlins because these are stories. These are stories that you are telling yourself about how you're anticipating that how they are going to act and feel, or react, or what their motivation or what their actions are going to be towards you. And that's a form of labeling, right? Because you're kind of you're defining them. You're defining what the expectation is. And in your head, you're really creating this story about them, about what's going to happen. And if this doesn't apply to you, if you have no reservations, if you're like, my family's going to be all over this, then totally that's awesome. Just listen to this and be aware of that it's possible that it's going to come up. I would guess that there's at least 1 or 2 people in your family that you might be anticipating you're gonna get some pushback, or you're gonna have a little bit less than enthusiastic reception about. And this is what we're gonna start working on when it comes to our mindset this week. Continue your own personal mindset practice that we have been talking about for the past 3 weeks. And this week, I just want you to start applying it to what you're feeling and thinking about other people. So recognize and capture and destroy those kind of gremlins about other people. If you're like, my husband is going to say blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, write that down as gremlins and do the same thing we do always. Do the capture and destroy. If you need to go deeper about it, go back to last week's mentoring session. We talked about how to go deeper, and I posted on the Facebook group the scratch and burn instructions. And so you can put it in the search bar and look for that if you need. And that's a way to kind of go deeper and really explore deep gremlins. But one of the things that you'd have to do when you destroy the gremlins about someone else, you've got to immediately replace them. So you're not going to remember, when you're doing it for yourself, you get rid of them, and then you've got your permissions and your compassion whispers and your intentions and all those kind of things that kind of build yourself back up and to empower yourself. Well, when you're thinking about someone else, and when you're thinking about someone else and you have these gremlins, actually go ahead and shoot me in the chat box really quick. Do you guys think that are you any of you guys anticipating? Just say yes if you think you're anticipating that you're going to feel a little bit of kickback from your family when you start making changes. Okay, so awesome. I mean, awesome that you guys are awake. Okay, so all right, so then I'm on the right track with this. It looks like everybody universally feels like that they might get a little bit of kickback. So what I want, one of the antidotes to this resistance is to focus on the relationship. So we've got two things. One, I want you to immediately fill your mind and heart after you get rid of the gremlin, you know, to capture, destroy the gremlin. You need to immediately fill your mind and heart with something positive. You need to empower and fill that space that you just emptied about that person with something good. Okay? And when you're not feeling, especially if you have a rocky relationship, it may be really difficult to think of positive things, especially when you might have all these realities of something negative about a certain person. So what I suggest is that you just notice, go back to the honest observation quality, that way of thinking, where it's not judgmental, it's not labeling, it's that first part of it being hokey, right? Where just write down 6, and I just picked 6. I think that's a good little in between positive number. It's like 1 a day for the next week, right after today, and 6 positive, honest observations. And these could be characteristics, it could be attributes, it could even be interests. Now let me tell you, well, you're going to use these. You're just noticing honest observations that are positive about the person. Okay? And the reason why I want you to look at that, because I mean, not the reason why. The reason why I'm saying honest observation, and it could be attributes, characteristics, or interests, is because I know that it can be difficult. I know that when you have a really difficult relationship with some people, it can be really hard to think good things about them. So just observe, just write your observations and make them positive observations, okay? And then I want you to do this relationship building experiment. Okay. Now this is actually a love and logic technique. If you're familiar with parenting with love and logic, it's I'm actually an authorized facilitator to teach love and logic parenting classes, and so this is one of those techniques that they teach, and I just really love it, and it goes perfectly in this section of tackling these gremlins. Okay, so you take 6 observations and you're going to intentionally share them with the person at least a couple of times each for this week. Okay, so and you're going to do it in casual ways, just like you're in conversation, not like, okay, you're not taking a list to them and saying, I've written a list of 6 things about you I'd like to share with you. That's not what you're doing. Okay, you are just casually giving an observation, positive observation, because what you're telling them, what you're doing is you're telling them that you notice them, that they matter, they're not invisible. You don't only notice them when they do something wrong or when you guys are fighting or when they act up, but you just notice them, that they are an important part of your world, and you're building this relationship. So you're just going to say, like, here's a couple examples, like, hey, I noticed you shooting hoops. Looks like you were having fun. You're not telling them they did it good. You're not telling them they did something right. You're not telling them they did something wrong. It's not a good job. You're not doing a good job. It is just noticing an honest observation. Okay. I noticed you were the first person ready and in the car this morning. That's just an observation, right? And then I really appreciated you helping us be on time. That's you observing your feeling about it, not telling them, oh, such a good job, you came to the car. That's not what I want. You're not judging them, okay? And you're going to do this not in an embarrassing way. You're not going to make it awkward or uncomfortable. You're not going to do it in front of their friends. You're not going to make a big deal out of it in front of other people in the family. You're just going to do this casual as many times as you can. I would say at least, I put on here twice a week because that's what the Love and Logic recommendation is, but I don't think you can overdo this, honestly. That's just a saying. Make a point of really doing it, right? And you're going to make eye contact. You're going to smile at them. You know, touch their arm, make physical contact with them somehow, just to give more points of sensory, you know, connection, and to really make sure that they know you're talking to them, and it's directed to them, and you really want them to have received it. Does that make sense? And you know, I put on here, don't be fooled by the adolescent attitude of, you know, I don't need you to notice me. It's almost a sad epidemic. I've read lots of different studies about this, that this attitude that we have, that kids have, oftentimes have towards us, we're buying it as adults. We actually think they don't want us around them, or they don't want our input or things like that. And it's just not true. They really need it, and it really does matter. So don't fall into that. Know that they need it, and you're not being weird or awkward. You're just noticing them, okay? And then test it out. Test out how it works by just taking an opportunity after you do it for like the week and the next week or something. Just ask them to do something quick. Like just go up to them and say, hey, you know, again, eye contact, smile, touch them, and be like, hey, will you, and just fill in the blanks, something quick. Will you do that just for me? Thanks. And instead of sitting there waiting for an answer, waiting for feedback, just ask them and then walk away. And not like, I don't know how to, I wish I could kind of demonstrate this to you, but it's just like, hey, you know, would you mind taking this to the laundry room? Thanks. And just turning around and walking away. And just what that walking away tells them is that you're totally confident in them. You totally believe that they're going to take care of that for you because you have that relationship. You're modeling that you believe that you have that kind of connection, that you can count on them, that you are confident in how your interaction is. You feel how you guys feel about each other, and just see how that starts to improve. Do the first experiment, do it for a few weeks. I mean, keep doing this and build that relationship so that this relation, I mean, this is just one little thing you can do for a relationship, but this is where you get your family members to comply, is when they have enough of a connection to you as their mom, that not just as their mom, but as they think you see them as a person. You don't just see them as a slave. You don't just see them as a worker or just their responsibility, your responsibility. You don't want your kids to just think that that's all you see them as. They know you love them on some level, but they want to really truly understand that they really belong and are needed and are loved and lovable. Remember, that's part of our intention. That's what we're focusing on. And these points of relationship that we need to strengthen, this is just super easy, kind of, it's easy in that it's simple. You just have to think of a few things that you notice about them. I mean, it could be something as, I see that you're reading blah, blah, blah book. How is it? You know, just simple awareness, but it's not a negative. It's not a judgment. It's not anything. It's just being aware and noticing good things about them, positive things about them, without passing that judgment. Is this making sense to you guys? Let me know if I'm going to look at the chat real quick for a second and let's see. Oh, okay. Okay, awesome. I hope, and we'll talk about this in the Facebook group this week. I will probably be doing a post that kind of help people, give people some ideas and give you a place that you can kind of brainstorm how to do this. But this is just really basic. This is a really basic relationship building experiment. And it's just one of those things that you can do very simply, very quickly, without a lot of preparation, without a lot of premeditation, just, yeah. And it'll really help to fight those gremlins. So this is the only new mindset thing I'm wanting you to do, except to just keep working on trying to do your own also, okay? So moving on, and remember, if you have questions, put them in the Q&A box. We will answer them at the end. Don't put them in the chat box, okay? All right, so your vision this week, our vision this week, you have, hopefully you've taken the chance to go through the vision experience and just kind of get a pretty good, clear picture of what you're aiming for when it comes to your actual whole big, result that you're wanting at the end of this program, okay? And it's time to start getting your family in on that. And okay, now this is going to be a little tricky, and I know I wrote this out for you so you can kind of read through this, but I want to kind of talk you through it because I want to kind of give you an idea how this can actually work, okay? So the key is really getting your family to believe that they have helped you create this vision. You kind of, as the mom, already have what you know you want for them, and you have a more mature view of what's important. So you have to not only get them to think it's their idea, but you have to kind of guide them to what your vision is. Does that make sense? But you also need to be open to hearing that there may be things that they come up with that you left out that you're like, actually, I know that's important to this group of in my family, we better include that. So it's going to help you round out your own vision and help you communicate to your family what it is you want without you dictating it to them. Does that make sense? So what you're going to do is you're going to hold a family rally. That's what my family calls them. It sounds much more exciting to me than a meeting. So I'm like, and I would just holler out to, when it's time, I'd be like, it's rally time, and I'd holler and turn music on or whatever to get people to come and know that it was time for us to get together. And it was just, that's why I call it that. You don't have to call it that. You can call it whatever you want. But I call it, we're going to have a family rally. And it's when our family comes together and talks about something that is important to our family. These are things, this is not a one and done type of thing. I know a lot of you are, well, I know that this is not a new concept to most of you. I've heard it from many different places. I know in my religion, we talk a lot about having family councils and counseling together as a mom and dad with your family, your children, or, with whatever parents are available. And so I would make this something that you do on a regular basis. Anytime that you need to talk about anything that's going on in your family, or you could even be coordinating schedules. I like to rally. I like to have, kind of a what's going on in everyone's life kind of rally at least once a week, where we kind of recap but we kind of go over what's happening on our schedule for the week ahead, and, finding out what support different people need, and just kind of coordinating. That's what I meant, not recapping, coordinating, family coordinating. And we I don't call it necessarily an official rally anymore, but that's still what we, kind of what we do, okay? And so I would kind of start to realize that this can be something regular and something you can use for a lot of different purposes. But then for this first time, this is going to be, the point of the rally for this week is going to be to come up with a family motto or creed that's describing your family culture. And the reason I want you to do an actual creed, I know you have a vision, you've recorded it, you probably listened to it, or you at least have written it in your journal, or at the very least, most of you, I've gotten almost every person has finally filled out the first survey. If you haven't yet, you still can do that. And even in that, you've had at least a few sentences that you wrote down recapping. So I know most of you have at least that much in your mind, okay? But what I want is when you create a family motto or creed, it is like a living document that you can refer to over and over and over that helps keep the vision or the goal in a living form in your family's mind. So what this looks like, we're going to talk about really quickly in just a second about how to actually have the meeting, but I want to just give you a little glimpse, and we'll go into more detail next week about how to use it, because a lot of you have been asking questions about when we were talking about labeling language. We were talking about hokey language. A lot of you put in some questions about different kinds of tiffs and disagreements and things that you have with your kids, or that they have with each other, and what to say to solve those. This motto and creed, or creed, we call it a creed in our family, but it could be a family motto. But this is a document that gives you a foundation to fix those problems. And I'm going to teach you how to do that next week. So I'm just giving you a little bit of a glimpse so that you understand that this is really fun. Yeah, Tannen, we settled lots of arguments by pulling it out and saying, here, don't you remember? Yes, you're right, Tannen, that's funny. But it's true. We had, if you know me, you know that what our household looked like. For lots of years, I have only 3 kids, but we had up to 7 kids, both from other families, neighbors, cousins, that would come to our house every day to do online school. And they would come here because it was a fun environment to do it with other kids, as well as we just needed someone to supervise, and not everybody had parents at home all day, and that type of thing. And so we would have a whole household of yours, mine, and ours, of cousins and neighbors and my own kids. And this creed, or this motto, was the foundation that, they came to our house, and we had to have a way to immediately get everybody on board to make sure that it was fair how everybody acted. Everyone had different rules of their own houses and different expectations for what they were doing. But when they came to school, we had to have things be consistent and fair and healthy environment, and make it so that everybody enjoyed being here, and that there was standards that everybody was expected to live up to, and that type of thing, without it feeling like I had to just be getting mad at people all the time. And this creed was this motto, this creed that we put together, and we did this exactly the way we did, or I'm telling you to do it for a family. I've done this for my own little family, but I also did it for this yours, mine, and ours kind of group. I don't know why I'm telling this as an example, except that it is an example of showing how valuable of a tool it is when you're trying to get everybody to work together and to just be all in. This is why I call this enrolling in this stage, because if you get them in on the vision and it comes from them, they are enrolled. They are like, okay, yeah, I'm in. They can be wholehearted. Where our goal is for them to be wholeheartedly in on having your home be the way you want it, right? And this, by having this, like I said, next week I'm going to teach you how to actually use it. To this week, we're just going to create it, okay? So I just want to give you that little bit of a glimpse. I don't want to go on and on about that, because I really am going to talk about that more next week. This week, we're going to create it, and you're going to invite everybody to a rally. I included in your materials 2 different rally flyers and invites. On the invites, it's a one document, but it has both different versions. And I did 2 different ones because, I don't want every time I don't want you to have to feel like you're bribing your family every single time. I just like to make things unusual. I like to incentivize and inspire my kids to want to do things with me. And I do it by making it more attractive to do what I want than to not, if that makes any sense. That's one of my, and you can call it bribery if you want. I call it inspiration, and it works for me. So anyway, so I think it's a good idea, especially since this is the first one you're having. If you do, I put on there a suggestion to have like an ice cream sundaes or something where you're able to just sit around the table, make your sundaes, and talk, just chat. It doesn't have to be super formal. If you have little kids, little kids, I put the Lego option on there. And again, these are just suggestions. You can really tailor this, 100% customize it to your family and what you guys want to do. But this is what it looks like. Is when you're sitting around, you invite them to come to something, and it's not an activity like you're running around, everyone's being crazy. It's not like a family fun night. But it is something that's something special that they want to come to because it, there's perks to coming, whether it's ice cream or you're going to do a Lego project together or, whatever, something that will occupy them. I like the Lego idea for little kids, or when you have lots of ages of little kids, because it keeps them actually engaged in doing something while you ask them questions. And all you as mom has to do is kind of be in on it there, because if you're working on something, they'll stay there with you. And then you just have your list of questions or your list of ideas to kind of guide the conversation. So this is what it is. So you can use those flyers and put them on your command station. You can use invitations and put them on their beds or put them in their lunch boxes or whatever. You don't have to use any of that if you don't want to, but I would at least write it on your whiteboard saying when there's going to be a family rally and if there's any incentive or inspiration to coming, okay? And then what you're really going to do is you're just going to sit around and ask your family questions. I would actually recommend starting with reflecting on talking about your family fun night. We just had a fun holiday weekend. If you haven't had a chance to do your holiday or family fun night, maybe talk about something fun you did for the holiday, okay? And you just reminisce about it. And you might even call out some of the challenges that you had using hokey language. And I wrote out an example. So you could maybe you'd say, yeah, I know we had some challenges. There was some tiffing and disagreements, but the truth is being a family is one of the most important things. And I'm not willing to give up on it. Are you guys? It's not easy. Every family has ups and downs and struggles and challenges, but we love each other. We got to keep trying, and we can if we can work together and try to be better and better every day, right? It doesn't matter whose fault it was, whether you're talking about what happened, doesn't matter whose fault it was, but if we are all in this together, then, we can make it better and better every time that we get together. Or, what I mean? Something like that. Like just kind of have that hokey language where you make the observation that, yeah, this happened, but it's okay. Every family goes through that kind of stuff, but it's important to us, right? We love it. You're being kind, showing empathy. You're not the only people who are like this, right? And then give hope, inspiration about what can be better, how it can be better. If we love each other, we keep trying, we can be better and better all the time, right? And so a good way to start this rally is to kind of reflect on your family fun night. If you didn't have any challenges, that's okay. Just kind of reminisce about all the fun you guys had and kind of have this remind them about this fresh experience that you had just recently about how much fun it is to be a family. And then it will segue really seamlessly into being able to say, so what do you like the most about, being together as a family? You've got this family experience you just as fresh in your mind, or a weekend, a holiday experience that's fresh in their mind. Or if you haven't had, if you didn't have a chance to do any of those types of things, make that your next priority this week, and then you can have the rally after that. But you've got this fresh thing in their mind to reflect on. And then it's a perfect segue to asking them some questions. And what I mean by asking questions and then offering suggestions, that doesn't mean you are completely answering your own question, but what you're doing is you're helping to guide their answers to kind of spark things that you might want them to choose. So you'd say something like, okay, so I gave you the creating a family motto checklist because before, sorry, I'm gonna step back a second. Before you start your meeting, you're gonna get the checklist, and I would maybe look through that and circle the ones that you are in your vision, or maybe you use your vision, you read through your vision ahead of time and make sure you kind of have some really key things that you want to bring out in the conversation. And so what you're gonna say, so you have that checklist. You can even show them, say, I've got this checklist of all these different things, and I'm gonna be taking notes of what you guys say because I want to create a family motto that we can have and remember all these things that we want as you know, how we want to define our family. Or I want us all to remember, make sure you include everybody. I want us all to remember the goal we have as a family, what we want to be like, you know, how fun it is to be part of our family, right? And let them know what you're doing while you're writing notes and say, I really want to know what you guys think. And so maybe you'd say something like, so what is your favorite thing to do as a family? And in your mind, you know, you really like to do go on hikes as a family and to work together on projects, maybe, or you know, something like in your head you're thinking that. So you'd say, I mean, what's your favorite thing to do as a family? Do you like to go on hikes? Do you like to work on projects together or something else? What do you like? So you're guiding them with some suggestions and then letting them offer their own suggestions. And they can be like, oh yeah, I do like to do that, but I also like to, you know, and they'll say, they'll answer other things. You know, something like, what do you love about being part of our family? You can be like, do you love that? And you look at the checklist and you say a couple of things that you want them to remember, do you want them to know are important. And so you'd offer those same kind of little suggestions, like I'm going to go down here so I can read some. Like, do you like to feel loved? Do you like when people forgive you when you do something wrong? You know, what do you love most about being part of our family? Like, you know, I mean, just giving those a couple suggestions and then giving them the chance to add their own. And if no one says anything, say, hey, I've got this list. Let me read a couple of them and see. If you just say, yes, I like that. And you can just use that checklist to kind of prompt some answers. And remember, you're doing this while you're like eating ice cream or while you're making a Lego project, or you're just kind of there having this little conversation where you're asking questions and you're just drawing answers out of them. And if there's lulls, just remind them why you're doing it. Bring up again why you're doing it. Say, hey, you know, I really appreciate you guys hanging out and coming to this rally because I just think this is so important for us to really know what we're working towards as a family. Being a family is the most important thing in my life. And I just am so glad that you guys are willing to come here and work on this with me and kind of get this idea in our heads about what we want to be like, who we as a fill in the blank, what your family name is, you know. So you're going to just take little notes. I think the checklist is easy so you can stay engaged. Just mark them on there, the ones that your family brings up. It doesn't matter a ton if you take really good notes about what your family says. You want to make sure they have things that are included, especially if they're way off the wall from what you put, but you accept that they're a good suggestion. But it's going to be what your vision is. This whole experience is to help your family recognize that they have a say and to help them feel more invested. And you're doing this by involving them and kind of coaching them through recognizing these things that you already know are great things to recognize, but they might not be thinking about those things as deeply. Does that make sense? So you want to take notes, but don't panic, okay? Because they're not going to remember what every single person in your family said. They're just going to remember that you had this this conversation and that you told them, okay, at the end, I've got all these notes and I've marked up this paper. I am so excited. I'm going to think about this and I'm going to kind of put it, all of your guys' suggestions into some sentences. I'm going to create a family motto. Is that okay? You know, and ask them, is that okay if I do this? And when I'm done, we should have another rally and I'll be able to show it to you, and we're going to hang it up here on our command station. That command station that you guys have set up is starting to catch people's attention if it hasn't already. They're already curious and wondering. They may have been asking you questions already, and if they haven't, this is a great time when you get your motto put together to bring their attention to the command station, okay? So, and then you're just going to take the things they have and put it into some simple sentences. Don't make it that complicated. These are the 2 suggestions I gave you this week in your packet. And these are actually my family's, sorry, I have a pickle in my nose. My family's, one is our creed that we actually say, and the other one is an extended family motto that we use, or that we came up with for a family reunion. And I have this framed in our home. And this one, this Dragon Creed, we're kind of geeky when it comes to things like that. So we made it like we were making a school mascot or something. And so it's our home mascot. We were dragons. And how I would use this is, when we would have rallies, we would start by reading this, and every once in a while we would just pass it around and everyone would read a line, and we would actually get kind of silly about it, and made it kind of like we would put actions to it, you know, like when we'd say, we know we are loved, so we try to be resilient and slow to take offense, forgiving, you know, we'd do like silly little things like that. So it wasn't like super serious, but it was impactful. Doesn't have to be serious to be impactful. It was impactful because people knew that it was important to me. My kids knew, the kids who came to our home knew, whether they were just there for school or whatever, they knew it was important, and they knew it was something that I took seriously, and that I lovingly enforced. Sometimes I'd have to, you know, like Tannen said in the chat, we'd have to say, you know what, it looks like we need to review something from our model. And I'd take them over. Well, anyway, I'm going to talk about that next week. But I'd take them over and review stuff when needed. And, but you can add actions. You can, you know, however you think you can get your family to do this. It's not going to do you any good if you just tack it on the wall and never look at it again. This is a living, active document. Remember that I said this is something that you refer to, you talk about. I would also I think it's a fun way to use this to just like if you have family nights, or if you have, you know, your religious home discussions and stuff like that, make this a part of it. This is who you are. You know, every once in a while, just, you know, when you're sitting down to do that, go ahead and pull it out and say, you know, just like saying an opening prayer, or saying, doing highs and lows or something at dinner, maybe talking about your creed, or talking about a line. Every once in a while, I'd be like, you know what? If I recognized we were struggling in a certain area, I would say, hey, I want to talk about this. Our time together is fun. We include everyone. And I just want to tell you what that means, why I think that's so important, and why I think we chose that to be in our motto. And I would just kind of give them a minute, or take a minute to just say what that meant to me, and why I think that means something to our whole family. And it helped to kind of give context to each of the lines as we moved forward. Okay. And you know what? I am 1000% fine if you want to copy mine to start out with. You're welcome to put your name in it and copy it yourself. I don't have any problem with that. The point is that you have something to refer to that you can use when you're disciplining, because you've got something that they feel like they've been a part of. They've helped create it. It's starting to plant seeds of vision in their mind, and it gives you it's almost like a rule book. It's like your guiding principles. Ah, that's exactly what it is. It's your guiding principles of your family. I'm laughing at myself. I made the connection. Yes, it's your guiding principles, right? And it helps you, gives you a foundation for your discipline. Okay. There may be questions about that. I'm actually going to go ahead and go to the question bar right now because I see a couple questions have come up. That's just it. Does every member of your family, Heidi, you've asked, need to be at the rally? Husband is out of town and I will be out of town before he gets back. What do you recommend? Okay, so when it comes to that, I would say hold the rally with whoever is available, especially if you have older kids that maybe work and stuff like that and it's hard, or like you said, a husband. I would hold the rally with as many people as possible, because you can take the results of the rally and you can have a conversation with your husband separately and get his feedback. And you can even just take a minute while you're driving your kids to school, be like, hey, you know what? I shared with Dad all the everything that we talked about at our rally, and he loves it. He had a couple things to add. I'm going to go ahead and put it in, and I'll tell you about it when I show you the motto. Like you just want to acknowledge that everybody. You just want to make sure you take opportunities to acknowledge that everybody has a say in it. No one's excluded, even if you can't be all together at the same time. Does that make sense? Hopefully that does. And then, should we have a conversation with our spouse before the rally to make sure we are kind of on the same page, or wing it in the meeting? I think that's a great idea, Susan. I would be, and I probably should have included that. I kind of I think I kind of assumed that you were already kind of telling your husband what you were doing when it comes to the to this program. So I apologize. That is something I should have premeditated. Thank you for putting that, and I'm going to make sure Tannen writes that down since I'm not taking notes. I think that's a great idea. If your husband's not already kind of involved in what you're doing right now, and you're kind of keeping him up to date on what you're doing, then I think it's a great time for you to share your vision with your husband and let him know that this is what you're aiming for, that you're wanting to kind of put together some guiding principles and like a family motto that will help your family kind of be all on the same page and give you a kind of a starting point for discipline in your family. And that you want to have a rally. Would he be willing to come and support you and see how he is with it? If you have a resistant spouse or someone who is just not buying into what you're doing, like I said, they don't have to be 1,000%, 100% part of it. You can have it. Remember when I talked to them originally about your ripple? If you have strained relationship with a spouse or strained relationship with different children, then work with the relationships that you have, okay? And ripple that out. Also, be very conscious about the mindset advice I gave you this week about the gremlins. If you have a spouse that you just is really not on board and is not interested in all this self-improvement crap you're doing, or hopefully you don't have that kind of response. But if you do, that's totally fine. That does not mean you have to be defeated in making progress. And you can also reach that spouse in very subtle ways, just through your loving example and your stubbornness to keep moving in spite of their disinterest. Okay, so do the same things, that relationship building experiment with your spouse the same way you do with your kids, and see if it helps. There's lots of other things like that too, but that's where I would suggest. And yes, I would ask for their support beforehand. But don't hinge doing it on their support. Does that make sense? Because you're welcome. You're able. You have the stewardship and the right to talk and have a conversation with your kids without your husband being there, right? So no worries if he can't be there live, or if he isn't really interested in helping. But if he is, that would be awesome. All right, Phil. Would you purposely leave a husband out of this rally if you're almost 100% confident he'll laugh at it and kill it? I think that is a really good gremlin to attack. And if you do not, okay, I would actually think myself, do you feel like you can have this conversation with your kids and feel confident having the conversation with your kids with your husband there? If you can't, there's no reason you can't do this separately. You can tell your kids, just like I told was it Heidi who asked the first question? You can tell your kids, hey, you know what, after I get all of your answers, I'm going to talk to Dad about it and see what he has to say. That way you can filter that reaction to your kids, and it doesn't have to be like, we're leaving Dad out of it. It can just be like, hey, I was talking to the kids today. I invited them to come and tell me what the kinds of things they love to do, they love about our family. And I wanted to ask you the same kind of questions. I would only leave Dad out intentionally if you do not feel like you can field the conflict. Does that make sense? I don't think you're leaving Dad out of it. You're just compartmentalizing how you handle the situation. Does that answer your question? But I would definitely take the relationship exercise and work on him. But if you really feel like he'll sabotage it in front of your kids, then there's nothing wrong with just compartmentalizing it. Say, hey, I'm going to talk to Dad later. Just make sure that both parties know you're talking to both of them. Like, in other words, you don't have to tell your husband you're talking to your kids separate, but tell your kids you're going to talk to Dad later, and tell your husband you talked to the kids already, and this is what they said, and you wanted his input too. Remember that you are the center of this ripple, and you should be moving forward no matter whose support you have. Okay, this is so important that this family culture and building these relationships and strengthening this is so important that no one should be in your way. This is not something that we're taking lightly, right? Your family is your number one stewardship, your number one center of everything. Your whole purpose is centered on who you are and the ripple that you are creating in your family and how you're teaching your family and setting those examples. So you should be able to just be able to sit into who you are and recognize that your ripple will touch who it will touch, and it'll include who it will include, but it's gonna go whether you have someone who's running away from it or not. I don't know if that makes any sense. Let me know. Let's see. Well, there's a couple comments. Hang on a second. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Camille. If that didn't, or you have another part of it, then let me know. Okay. All right. Awesome. And Angela, how about teenagers that might be negative about it? Include them in on the rally or handle it the way you explained about the resistant husband. I would set just some expectations about the rally. Okay, so maybe on your poster you would say, bring only your good intentions and good feelings and da-da-da-da. And if during the, because you're their mother, you can treat it differently than your spouse. So a spouse that's gonna mock it or be a brat during the rally or the meeting, you can't mother them in front of the kids, but you can mother a teenager. You can say, hey, I would preemptively give some guidelines as to what you expect. I want everyone to be positive and be kind. And if you don't have something nice to say, then it's okay to just stay quiet, but let's not make it difficult for everybody. And if they start being a brat, say, hey, you know what? Really want you to be here. Eye contact, hand on the shoulder, smile, genuine. Say, hey, I would really love you to be here, but this is really, I don't think this is contributing to what we're our goal that we're having here. I don't think this, think about, and actually that's what I would do, Angela. I would think preemptively some one-liners about how you're going to shut down negativity. But you can mother kids, you can't mother a husband, or you shouldn't be mothering a husband in front of your kids necessarily. And so I think if you can handle the teenager different, I would always allow them the opportunity to be part of it. If you feel like you need to talk to them ahead of time and say, you know, this is what I want to do. Do you feel like you can come and be supportive? That might be another way. And just have a one-on-one talk. And just, if they like, no, I think it's stupid, I don't want anything to do with it, let them know, I would love you to come if you can come and be supportive. I would love you to be there, and, you know, just give them that reassurance. Does that answer your question? Okay. Should we be, Susan, one last thing, and then this last question, we're gonna move on. Should we be talking with our spouse about everything we have been doing, have planned, etc.? I haven't said much about anything. I must have misunderstood and thought we were just supposed to model it. And you know what, I'm just saying, in general, I would assume that most people's husbands know you're part of a program. That's what I mean by that. You don't have to be giving them every little insight. You're right, you are supposed to be modeling to your family and your spouse changes, because you don't want it to be like, okay, I'm announcing that this is what's happening, da, 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 da. You want it to feel a little more organic. But I just was saying, in response to your first question, I think that is a good idea to intentionally, you know, bring up to your husband what's happening. And I do really like the idea of sharing your vision with your spouse if you feel like it's appropriate, if you feel like you have that relationship to where he would be supportive. If not, if you don't feel like you have that relationship right now, again, I'm not a therapist or a counselor or anything like that, but I do think there's things you can do that that there's just some of those, just our little mindset suggestions and things like that I think can influence and kind of heal and start to help and influence those relationships. So I would say try them on your husband just as well as with a teenager or a resistant child. There's no expectation of what you should or should not have been telling him. So I guess that's my answer to your question. There isn't, you didn't miss anything. You are supposed to be modeling. My comment before was just the assumption that they know you're in a program and this is just the next step. So if you haven't had an opportunity to share details and stuff like that, or they haven't been curious enough to ask, then that would be great for you to intentionally, if you feel comfortable and you feel like you have that relationship, intentionally be able to kind of give them a heads up. All right, awesome. Okay, moving on. So that's our rally. That's the rally this week. And I want you to make sure that you have had a fun family event or family night before you do the rally. So if you haven't got to that point, but if you haven't done an intentional fun family night and you did something fun for Easter this weekend, it is a perfect timing, because even if you don't feel like you've had time to do something extra, you can always use that experience as foundation for your rally. So moving on to habits. Now, habits this week we're not doing anything major. We're just continuing to do daily do's. And if you had a chance to be on the invisible laundry training we had on Friday, I highly recommend implementing that. How many of you were on that? Let me know in the chat. How many of you were able to listen to the laundry? I don't know what's oh, awesome. Well, I hope that it was helpful, and I hope that you were able to no, I posted the link for the replay on the oh, you got your hampers already. Woohoo! I hope you were able to see where the replay was, because I just really think it's worth kind of breaking down, maybe listening to a section, doing it, listening to a section, doing that implement, and kind of help get that clothes laundry scenario in your home. Just really feel like it's really under your belt and it's not something that's blocking your way. That's why we're not really adding much. I did suggest that you just add dishes. Most people have some habitual way they take care of dishes in their family. The only thing I want you to focus on is, if you do not already do this, clearing your own dishes is one of those three, it's one of the three things that people need to be responsible for themselves to organically learn self-responsibility. So even if it feels more convenient, or maybe it's a job that someone clears the table. If that's a job, someone clears a table, get rid of that job. Everybody should clear their own dishes. It helps them organically recognize the impact they're having on the space around them, okay? You don't fold people and put people's clothes away, you don't clear their dishes, and you don't clean up their messes. You could help them, you could support them, but you don't automatically do that until this personal responsibility is an ingrained habit and awareness in children, okay? So, all right, yeah, so this is one of those things that I don't think it's going to be a huge thing for people. I think most people do some version of this. That's why there's not a big change. You're just continuing to do your daily dues, refine them, and giving you this week to kind of implement the laundry if that was a chore in your home that you needed a new system to get that on top of. And I'm telling you, Invisible Laundry, I'm 100% confident that it'll transform your laundry and make that literally the easiest job in your house, right? So that's all we're going to talk about with this section. The last section, we are so on time this week. The last section is your system. So this week we are finally introducing individual storage pouches, okay? So your command station is up in the sense that if you haven't had a chance, you should see on your checklist that having your board, whether it's a whiteboard or frames or whatever, is up. You've got your inspiration pictures in one corner where, they're fun family pictures that just make everyone feel happy about being a family and kind of give that imagery and spark to what your family could be and what you're aiming for. So you've got some pictures up there. You've got a list of all your family's names on it. And if you listen to Invisible Laundry, one of the things that, let's see, you can see, I've put on my little example down here, a day of the week next to each person's name. That is for your laundry. So one of the tracking things is you have everybody's name and the day that they do laundry. So they, if you do it all on the same day, great. Just say laundry day is Friday on everybody's or whatever it is. But if you do them in separately and you've broken the week up, make sure that every person knows and that you at a glance can remember whose laundry it is by having that next to their name. That's just one of the things you're going to track in that list of names. And you've got a section up here that you can put your motto, and down here is a section that you can announce any family events or like your rally that's coming up, or whatever, maybe a goal or something your family is working towards that you want to get everybody involved and enrolled in. So we've got the command station board, the main board, with all the different areas we're now using. Once you finish your model, you'll have used the whole board that you, it's going to start being an active, place that people recognize things go up, things change, and it's something that you can track on. And they're probably asking questions. If they haven't had an opportunity to ask you questions, you might grab a couple of them and be like, hey, have you guys noticed this? Look, and kind of tell them what the different things are as you, talk to them. Just let them know. But it's time now to have an individual storage pouch. Now, I've given you guys an attachment. It is a printable storage pouch that you can put together. And I took a picture here of a sample made one. And now I know that these are not like the most, I think they're very simple and they're very easy to use and very easy to print out. It's not difficult to put together or anything like that. And I know a lot of you might have your command stations in a place where you want it to be very decorative and cute and all that kind of stuff. I totally get that, and I encourage you to know that you can change these, okay? But just for this week, and just as you're starting this system, I would suggest just using these really simple, quick, easy to use Don't make it too big of a drama. You know, don't worry about it, because, you know, put them up with a couple of command strips, and you can take them off as soon as you decide. Once you've used them for a little bit, you'll understand what the function is, okay? And so when you decide, when you're looking for something that looks more decorative, or maybe that you think is cuter or more aesthetic, when you know, and wherever it is, and you don't necessarily want to use these anymore, you'll have a clear understanding of how to use them. So what you decide to replace them with, you'll be able to make good choices with that. Does that make sense? So just for the time being, just for the next couple of weeks as you're introducing this, it's about a month. You can handle having these up for a month if this really bugs you, okay? I hope that you'll just trust me and use them for just at least this amount of time, and they shouldn't be expensive for you to be able to print and laminate. I do think they need to be laminated. The back needs to be laminated. One, because if you notice on the picture, it says try again, learn, have fun. Well, that center part is a place where you can write permissions. So for each person, you might, as their mom, give them an encouraging thing. This is like their little sacred space type of thing. Helping them to recognize that this is something new. This is a new habit. These are new habits. It's a new system you're implementing. And you want to encourage them just the way you've been learning to encourage yourself. So I like the idea of it being laminated. You can just write with a dry erase marker on there, a little note from mom, or they can write something that they need as you start learning to teach this. So I really like that space. I also like, you know, this example one, all I did was put some washi tape up there underneath the name to make it be colorful. You could put, you know, some decorative paper on it, or, you know, whatever. I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know, maybe that it's just me. You could let kids decorate them, or you could decorate them yourself. But I like the idea of being able to change them. So laminating them first, then letting them draw on it or whatever doesn't make it so it's permanent. You can always change them. But I'd recommend that you laminate it so that it's sturdy enough that it's not going to rip off the wall, that type of thing, as well as gives you a place you can write and update permissions. And then you're going to print the directions on how to make those are on the actual ticket storage pouch. Okay. That's funny. Sorry, I just looked at Mary's comment in the chat. Clean, rinse, and load, or mommy will explode. I love that. That's hysterical. Okay, sorry. I get distracted by the chat. I gotta only look there when I say I'm going to. Okay, but the instructions on how to actually make your pouch is in the download. So go ahead and print it off. Super simple. Cut here, laminate, slice, put together, tape. It's good. Okay, then you're going to download and print your daily dues tickets. So each person in your family, you're not going to really make this a big deal yet, but you're going to hang up these pouches. You're going to make a pouch and hang it up with every person's name on it. Everybody's going to have one, including mom and dad. Now, dad may not ever actually physically use the tour tickets, okay? The visual of him having a pouch up there that possibly, you know, maybe on a weekend or something has something on there in it, he might actually use it for tickets. But just the visual of having dad be part of the work around your home is an important visual. Okay, you're including parents to have that solidarity and that fairness. Okay, so every person in your family needs to have their own. And put dad's up there, even if you don't think he'll ever use tour tickets. And that is totally okay. You can still have permissions, or you can still write him nice notes, and he'll look like he's part of the family. No one's going to care that he doesn't actually physically move tickets back and forth, okay? Just put one up there for him. And everybody in the house needs to put, you are going to print these daily due tickets, cut one out. There is every ticket printout PDF that I give you as we're moving forward, because in just 2 weeks you're going to get all your home household tickets, and I'm so excited for you to have those and start implementing them. They're just going to be so much fun to use to get chores done. And you'll notice that every PDF that I give you has a set of the way I think they should be done, and my suggestion, not the way I think they should be done, but just my suggestion of how to do it, okay? And then there's always a blank one that you can fill in yourself if you want to edit and do it a little bit differently or customize it to you, because I want this system to be totally customizable. But remember the rules of daily dues. So go back to week 2 is when we introduced daily dues, and there are rules for daily dues. And if you are editing and making your own daily dues tickets, do not violate those rules, okay? The rules are, it cannot include any chore that is not have to do with personal care and responsibility. You can't add extra chores to it. Every person in the house's daily dues have to be the same. So it is that everyone across the board, no exceptions, they're all the same, okay? And then I'm trying to think what the fourth one is. That's funny. So they're all the same. They have to be personal care and responsibility. The other rule is that they're done before any fun happens. It's just your basic responsibility that everyone has to be able. Having that as a rule makes it so anytime there's something that's undone about it, you can be like, hey, you know, the rule is we got to get our daily dues done before we have free time. So it's okay, you know, come on, you can do it. And it gives you that foundation to call people back. And I can't remember what the fourth one is. Those are the 3 basic ones. And I think I added a 4th one to module 2. Well, scavenger hunt. Anyone who finds it, go ahead and let us know. Anyway, but yeah, so there's a 4th rule. If you're doing your own and customizing it, make sure it adheres to those rules. And what? Yeah. And then you're going to just go ahead and put your printed ticket, one in each person's to-do side of their pouch, okay? And you're just gonna put it up there. If your family starts being curious, go ahead and tell them about it if you want. Be like, oh yeah, this is going to be part of our new family work system. And you can tell them about how you have been doing your daily dues, and you can start modeling that. You can actually start moving your ticket. When you got it done for the day, move it to your done spot. And you can just tell people casually, you're not going to require this week. Next week, you're setting the stage and letting this kind of pique their interest, get them asking questions, tell them you can let them know more about it. Next week, when we talk about introducing or having the opportunity to show them your finished motto and kind of have a rally that introduces the daily due tickets, we're going to have a way of talking about contributing with having your family do some work and pick up more responsibility. And that's all going to go with introducing the motto, that your finished product and your motto. And that's going to be next week. So don't worry about making this a big announcement or anything. Just let it spark their curiosity. And I added in the sample down here, they just changed it to show what it should look like. This is an example of a horizontal layout. You can make it any layout you want. The one thing I want to make sure is that the tickets are easy to reach for the age of child that pouch is. So if you have a 3 or 4-year-old, you're not going to put their pouch so high that they can't move their own tickets. Okay? That is all I have for you today. I'm so excited. I hope you're recognizing that we're moving past the mindset and we're getting more into that center part. And then as we move throughout the next couple of weeks, we're going to get further and further and more in the how-to and actually getting the system working and going. We've laid a really good foundation, and you've taken a lot of steps to really set yourself up for success. And we're in that shift. I'm so excited. I am going to go to the questions. Okay, but that's it for the training. So if you have to go, I understand. If you want to stick around and listen to questions, answer doing Q&A, then go ahead and stick around. Tannen has been doing a timestamp for the whole training today, so we'll post that when we post the link. All right. Thanks, guys. All right, so Camille, for the laundry schedule, do they wash their own linens too, or just their clothing? I figure I can fill in those kinds of laundry days on my off days. You know, that is a good question. It is totally up to you. I would say that they have to. They don't have to be in charge of washing their own linens, because one bed of linens is not usually a whole wash, but you could if you wanted to. I usually do a linen laundry day where everyone strips their beds, or everyone, you know, pulls all their towels and puts them in the, and we just do a linen laundry day. But that is totally up to you. You can customize it. I think linens take a long time to launder, and I want to make sure I get through all of the clothes and to get the clothes put away. And each person, when each laundry day should make sure that you have the time enough time for that laundry day for the person or people whose laundry it is that day, that they can be completely done in the day. You don't want to have laundry drag for days and days and days. So with that being said, I would suspect that doing linens on top of clothes is going to be too much. So that's actually why I do it, just as a laundry day, a linen day. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah, you'll offer. Oh, that's a good idea. Camille says, I'd like the linen day laundry. I'll probably do that. In fact, I think I'll offer to clean their sheets on laundry day if they have their rooms clean and tidy. That's great incentive. Yeah, that's great. I do think they should be in charge of their bed, so make sure that they pull their sheets off, or that they have to remake it, or that type of thing, because it's part of the, you know, doing their bed. But you totally can be offering it as an extra incentive, not as it's mom's job. Don't ever make it be mom's job, but you definitely could use it as an incentive. Okay, so Sarah, you said, do we print one daily due ticket for each person for each day, or are they accumulated tickets through the week? It's just one ticket that you move back and forth every day. So it's one single ticket that you move in the to-do, you have it to do, and you move it to the done, and at the end of the day you reset your tickets. Okay, so it's like you just move the same ticket back and forth. You don't do one every day. Good question. Can I add piano to daily dues? Absolutely not. You cannot add piano to daily dues. Sorry, Carleanne. Daily dues are 100% personal responsibility, not stuff mom wants you to do. That is not the point of daily dues. And adding extra things that are not personal hygiene, care, and upkeep is sabotaging the point. So the piano is an absolute no on that. The blank cards are in case you want to customize it. So if for instance, if you wanted to use different wording, or you wanted to say maybe you're taking care of your dishes isn't rinse and stack, maybe it's doing something else. However you want to take care of your dishes, or maybe you want to say how you want their clothes handled, or something like that. Maybe you want more detail on it. That's the way you have blank cards, so that you can customize the wording and include what it is customized for your family. But it has to only be care and upkeep. No chores or extra things mom wants you to do. Okay? All right. Would you laminate the do and done pouches? No, I didn't. I think they're pretty sturdy the way they are. I just think the backing needs to be laminated. I don't know how you'd fold them. I don't know. I guess you could if you scored them, Angela. You might be able to score them and be able to fold them, but I didn't. And I don't think, I mean, if one ripped, it's really easy to print that second page and just cut a new pouch or put a new pocket and stick it on. I would say it's easier to not. That's my opinion, but totally up to you. So even if dad is gone, basically Monday through Friday, what do you think strong-willed child will say? Dad doesn't do his, why do I have to? Dad, if dad's gone, his would be done. Put his ticket in, done. If you're making your bed and dad doesn't have clothes at the house and doesn't have dishes out and he's at work getting ready for every day, say he's absolutely done his daily dues. What are you talking about? Put it in the done file. You know, you've got the answer to that. Yeah, just put it in the done. Dad's done. His bed's made. His clothes aren't on the floor. His room is tidy. You know, that type of thing. And if he has something that, like, maybe his room's not tidy, say, you know what? As soon as dad gets back, we'll see if he works. We'll help him work on that. The other thing is remember, perfection is not what you're aiming for in the family. So you can always say, you know, we need to love dad by showing him our example and helping encourage him to do it just the way we help encourage you. You know what I mean? Like, dad doesn't have to be perfect, and neither does the kid. You're working and growing and getting better and better every day. And so give a little grace. I mean, model grace when they accuse like that. Does that make sense? Because let them know that dad does have to do it, but he's struggling. It's hard it's hard with his work schedule for him to do it. We need to give him a lot of love and grace and support him as he is working to support us too. You know, that type of thing. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right. I think we've gotten to all the questions, and we are done at 90 minutes with questions too. Oh, dream. That's wonderful. Okay. So, thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to hear about your models this week and to hear about how things move forward. Let me know what questions you have in the Facebook group. Like I said, if you have any additional questions, and I'm just sending you guys so much love and encouragement. I hope you feel it from my heart and from my voice. And it just brings tears to my eyes when I think of working with and having this opportunity to talk with all of you guys and encourage you. It means so much to me, and I just hope that you have a fabulous week. Got a little verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves. But anyway, have a fabulous week. I love you all, and I will talk to you guys on the Facebook group all week long. Thanks.